My friends, history will be kind to me, for I intend to write it. I spoke these words not out of arrogance, but out of understanding that we are not passive characters in someone else's story. We are the authors of our own narrative. We hold the pen. We choose the words. We determine how our chapter ends. The question is not whether you will have a story. Everyone has a story. The question is whether you will write it yourself or whether you will let others write it for you. Because make no mistake, if you do not write your own story, someone else will write it, and they will not write it the way you would have written it. They will write it based on their judgments, their biases, their limited understanding of who you are and what you are capable of. They will write you as a supporting character in their story, not as the hero of your own. This is what most people do. They surrender the pen. They let others define them. They let circumstances determine their narrative. They let fear write their story. They let doubt edit their chapters. They let other people's opinions become their biography. And then they wonder why their life feels like it belongs to someone else, because it does. They gave away authorship. They handed over the pen. They stopped writing and started being written. I refuse to do this. When I was young, I was told I would never amount to much. I struggled in school. I was seen as difficult, obstinate, unsuited for leadership. The story others were writing about me was not flattering. I could have accepted that story. I could have believed what they wrote about me. I could have lived down to their expectations. Instead, I took the pen from their hands. I said, no, that is not who I am. That is not what I will become. That is not how my story ends. I will write my own story, and I will write it my way. This is what you must do. You must take back the pen. You must reclaim authorship of your life. You must stop letting others write your narrative. But taking back the pen is only the first step. You must also know what story you want to write. You must have a vision for your narrative. You must decide what kind of story this will be. Will it be a tragedy? A story of potential wasted, dreams abandoned, talents unused? A story of someone who never took anything seriously, who drifted through life without purpose or direction? Will it be a drama? A story of struggle and conflict, setback and recovery, defeat and ultimate triumph? Or will it be an epic? A story of great deeds and bold decisions, of battles fought and won, of a life lived fully and fearlessly? The choice is yours. You are the author. You decide the genre. You choose the tone. You determine the arc. But here is what you must understand. Great stories require control. They require challenge. They require the protagonist to face obstacles that seem insurmountable. No one wants to read a story where everything is easy, where the hero never struggles, where victory comes without effort. Those stories are boring. They have no weight. They have no meaning. The best stories are the ones where the hero faces terrible odds, where failure seems certain, where the path forward is unclear, and yet, despite all of this, the hero finds a way. The hero perseveres. The hero transforms. This is the story you must write, not a story of ease and comfort, but a story of struggle and growth, not a story where everything goes according to plan, but a story where you adapt when plans fail, not a story where you avoid conflict, but a story where you face conflict and emerge stronger. During the war, I could have written a different story. I could have negotiated with Hitler. I could have chosen peace at any price. I could have chosen the easy path, but that would have been a terrible story, a story of cowardice, a story of surrender, a story that would have disgraced Britain and betrayed everything we stood for. So I chose to write a different story, a story of resistance, a story of defiance, a story of a small island standing alone against tyranny. Was it harder? Yes. Was it riskier? Absolutely. Was it the right story? Without question. Your life presents you with similar choices. You can write the easy story or the right story. You can write the comfortable story or the meaningful story. You can write the safe story or the significant story. Which will you choose? Because here is the truth. The easy story is forgettable. The comfortable story is unremarkable. The safe story is insignificant. If you want your life to matter, if you want your story to mean something, if you want to look back with pride rather than regret, you must write the harder story. You must choose the path that challenges you. You must face the conflicts that terrify you. Now some of you may be thinking that your story has already been written, that your past defines you, that your mistakes are permanent chapters that cannot be revised. This is false. You can rewrite your story at any moment. You can change the direction of your narrative. You can transform yourself from victim to victor, from passenger to pilot, from character to author. Let me tell you about a man named Malcolm X. He was a criminal in his youth. He was imprisoned. He was lost. The story that had been written about him was one of failure and wasted potential. But while in prison, he took back the pen. He educated himself. He transformed himself. He became one of the most influential voices for civil rights in America. He rewrote his story completely, from criminal to leader, from prisoner to inspiration, from lost soul to found purpose. That is the power of taking authorship. That is what happens when you refuse to accept the story others have written for you. You are capable of the same transformation, no matter where you are, no matter what you have done, no matter what story has been written about you so far. You can take the pen. You can start a new chapter. You can write a better ending. But you must be willing to make bold choices. You must be willing to take risks. You must be willing to write scenes that scare you. Great stories do not come from safe choices. They come from brave ones. They come from moments when the author decides to take the character into unknown territory. They come from chapters where everything is at stake. Think about the stories you love, the films that move you, the books that inspire you, the biographies that amaze you. What do they all have in common? The protagonist takes risks. The hero faces fears. The character grows through adversity. Your story must have these elements too. You must take risks with your life. You must face your fears head on. You must seek out adversity, because that is where growth happens. I did not become Prime Minister by playing it safe. I did not lead Britain through the war by avoiding controversy. I did not write myself into history by staying comfortable. I took risks. I made enemies. I stood for unpopular positions. I fought battles I might have avoided. I wrote myself into situations that terrified me. And because I was willing to write those difficult chapters, my story became worth telling. Your story can be worth telling too, but only if you are willing to write the difficult chapters. Only if you are willing to put your character in situations that demand growth. Only if you are willing to face the blank page and fill it with bold choices. Now let me address something important. Writing your own story does not mean ignoring advice. It does not mean refusing to learn from others. It does not mean arrogance or foolishness. It means taking responsibility. It means making your own decisions. It means living with the consequences of your choices. I listened to many advisors during the war. I considered many perspectives. I learned from many people. But ultimately the decisions were mine. The responsibility was mine. The story was mine. This is what authorship means. Taking input but making your own choices. Learning from others but walking your own path. Being influenced but not controlled. You must do the same. Listen to wisdom. Seek guidance. Learn from those who have gone before. But do not let anyone else hold the pen. Do not let anyone else write your story. Do not let anyone else decide who you are or what you will become. That authority belongs to you alone. Let me tell you about a woman named J.K. Rowling. She was a single mother on welfare. She was struggling financially. She was dealing with depression. The story the world saw was one of failure and hardship. But she was writing a different story. Late at night in cafes, she was writing about a boy wizard. She was creating a world. She was building something magnificent. Publishers rejected her manuscript 12 times. 12 times she was told her story was not good enough. 12 times someone else tried to write her narrative as one of failure. She refused to accept that narrative. She kept writing. She kept believing in her story. And eventually she created one of the most successful literary franchises in history. She became one of the wealthiest and most influential authors in the world. She wrote herself from welfare to wealth, from unknown to iconic, from struggling to triumphant. That is the power of refusing to accept someone else's narrative. That is what happens when you insist on writing your own story. But here is what you must understand about writing your story. It is not a one-time decision. It is a daily practice. You do not write your story once and then stop. You write it every day with every choice you make, with every action you take, with every response to every situation. Every morning you wake up, you are adding to your story. The question is, what are you writing? Are you writing a story of discipline or laziness? Are you writing a story of courage or fear? Are you writing a story of growth or stagnation? Are you writing a story of contribution or consumption? Are you writing a story of purpose or aimlessness? These daily choices are the sentences that become paragraphs, that become chapters, that become your story. You cannot write one good chapter and then stop writing. You cannot make one brave choice and then coast. You cannot have one successful day and then quit. You must write consistently. You must make good choices repeatedly. You must show up day after day after day. This is how great stories are written, not in moments of inspiration, but in long stretches of determination, not in flashes of brilliance, but in sustained effort, not in single heroic acts, but in countless small decisions. I did not win the war in a single day. I won it through 6 years of daily decisions, 6 years of writing the story one sentence at a time, 6 years of choosing courage over comfort, action over paralysis, hope over despair. Your story will be written the same way, through daily decisions, through consistent action, through persistent effort. Now let me speak to those of you who feel it is too late, those who believe their story is already written and cannot be changed, those who think the best chapters are behind them. You are wrong. Your story is not over until you stop breathing. As long as you are alive, you are still writing. As long as you have agency, you can change direction. As long as you have choice, you can create new chapters. I became Prime Minister at 65 years old, 65, an age when many people are retiring, thinking their best years are behind them. I wrote some of my most important chapters after the age when most people stop writing. Your age does not matter. Your past does not matter. Your current circumstances do not matter. What matters is whether you are willing to pick up the pen and write right now, today, this moment. You can start writing a new chapter. You can change the direction of your story. You can become the author of your own life, but you must decide. You must commit. You must act, because time is passing. Every moment you wait is a moment of your story being written by default rather than by design. Every day you hesitate is a day when circumstances write your narrative instead of you writing it. Every hour you spend in indecision is an hour lost from your story. So decide now, what story will you write? Who will you become in your narrative? What kind of life will you create? And then start writing. Not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when circumstances are perfect. Now write the sentence that begins your new chapter. Take the action that starts your transformation. Make the choice that changes your trajectory. Write boldly. Write honestly. Write courageously. Write the story only you can write. The story that reflects who you truly are and what you are truly capable of. Write the story that makes you proud. Write the story that inspires others. Write the story that matters. And when you are old and your time is running out, you will be able to look back on your story with satisfaction. You will be able to say, I wrote that. I created that life. I made those choices. I took those risks. I faced those fears. I built that legacy. That was my story. And I wrote it myself. This is the power available to you. This is the opportunity before you. This is the choice you must make. History will be kind to you if you intend to write it. So pick up the pen, open to a new page, and start writing the story you were born to tell. Your story is waiting. Do not keep it waiting any longer.